I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to spill his guts on the internet, let alone tell a story like this, but here I am, sitting in the dark with a glass of something I can't even taste, trying to make sense of the last 5 years of my life, and how they just exploded like a car crash I never saw coming. We met in college, her name's Amanda, she sat 2 rows ahead of me in a marketing class, and I still remember the way she tilted her head when she laughed, not in a flirty way, in a real, down-to-earth, you'd want to marry that girl someday kind of way, and for a long time, I genuinely thought I would. We clicked fast, like puzzle pieces that had just been waiting to find each other. Before I knew it, we were that couple, the ones people rolled their eyes at because we were so in sync. Finishing each other's sentences and doing those stupid grocery store dances just to make the other one smile. We talked about getting married one day, sure, not in a let's pick a date kind of way, but more like it was always just assumed, we'd be together, we'd grow old, we'd probably argue about what to name our dog, but we'd figure it out because that's what people who love each other do, and I loved her with every fiber of my being, even when we were doing nothing but watching dumb cooking shows and eating takeout in bed. Things were comfortable, and I thought that was a good thing. I thought comfort was what you were supposed to want after the whirlwind fades, right? When the infatuation settles into something steady and real, I didn't realize that for Amanda, that comfort had started to feel like a prison cell. I know now that while I was out here being steady, being dependable, being everything I thought a good partner should be, she was letting someone else into her world, and not just anyone, her ex, a guy named Trevor. They worked together, he was around, always, just a friend, and even though some part of me felt a little uneasy about their connection, I told myself it was fine. I didn't want to be that guy. The controlling boyfriend who sets rules and boundaries out of insecurity. That's never been me. I believed her when she said there was nothing there. She looked me in the eyes and told me I was the only man she ever wanted, and I believed her. Looking back now, I feel like the biggest fool on the planet, not just because I missed the signs, but because I trusted her so completely that I never thought I needed to look for them. It all came crashing down last week, and I swear, I couldn't have written a more ridiculous way to find out if I tried. I was scrolling on my phone, bored out of my mind, and one of those suggested posts popped up, you know, the kind that shows you something from someone you barely follow. It was Trevor. I clicked it without thinking, and that's when I saw it, a photo of the two of them at some bar downtown, laughing, arms wrapped around each other like they were straight out of a rom-com. The caption? Lucky to call you mine, heart emoji, girlfriend emoji. My stomach dropped. I had to read it 3 times before it made sense, and even then, I thought, no, this has to be old, this has to be some weird inside joke, there's no way Amanda would. But then I saw the comments. People congratulating them, telling them how great they looked together. Someone even said, finally, you two made it official after all this time. And Amanda, my Amanda, had replied with a blushing face and a heart. That was the moment I realized I didn't know who she was anymore. I didn't scream, I didn't throw my phone, I just sat there, shaking, wondering how someone who used to look at me like I hung the moon could be holding someone else's hand in public and pretending I didn't exist. I confronted her that night. I drove to her place like a man possessed, heart pounding so hard I could barely hear myself think. She opened the door, saw my face, and immediately knew, no lies, no dodging. She just broke down, sat on the floor like her knees gave out, said she was sorry, said she never meant for it to go this far, said it started off innocent, and then turned into something she couldn't control. You won't believe what she told me next. She said she was drawn to the chaos, that what we had felt too calm, too easy, too safe, that Trevor brought out this fire in her that she didn't know she missed until she felt it again. She said he challenged her, made her feel alive, that she didn't know how to handle what we had, because it felt like we were already married and it scared her. Can you believe that? She was scared of love that didn't hurt. And yet, in the same breath, with mascara running down her cheeks and her hands clutching mine like I was the only thing keeping her tethered to earth, she said she still loved me, said she never stopped, said I was her real person, the one she wanted to build a life with, even if she had just spent a year secretly building something else with someone I'd never be able to forget. And the worst part? A small, stupid, traitorous part of me believed her. I didn't sleep that night, not even for a second. I lay there on her couch, staring at the ceiling while she cried herself to sleep in the other room, like I was the one who did something wrong, like she was the one who had just been shattered. My body felt hollow, like I was floating somewhere outside of myself, watching this entire mess play out from the corner of the room, and the sickest part of it all. I didn't leave, I couldn't leave, even after everything I saw, everything she confessed. I still felt like if I walked out that door, I'd be letting go of the only version of my life I ever wanted. When the sun came up, I sat at her kitchen table like a ghost and asked the questions no one ever wants to ask, the kinds of questions you already know will hurt, but you need the answers anyway, because without them, your imagination turns into a torture chamber you can't escape from. I asked how long it had been going on. She said she wasn't sure exactly, that it kind of blurred together, that it started emotionally, with late-night texting and inside jokes, and then just evolved, but I pushed, I needed to know, and after a long pause, she finally whispered it, almost a year. A year. 12 months of sneaking around, of telling me she was working late, of checking her phone and smiling at texts that weren't mine, of letting me make dinner while she was daydreaming about someone else. You won't believe what she said next. She said, it didn't mean anything, like that was supposed to make it better, like erasing the meaning was supposed to erase the hurt. I stared at her and said, you called him your boyfriend. She didn't even try to deny it. She said she felt stuck, that the calmness in our relationship made her question if she was missing out on something more passionate, that Trevor gave her that jolt of adrenaline, the forbidden, the risky, the wrong that feels right in the moment. She said it was like emotional junk food, addictive, exciting, and empty. I wanted to scream, I wanted to punch something, or run into traffic, or disappear off the face of the earth for a while, but all I did was sit there, staring at my own hands like they didn't belong to me anymore. She asked if I hated her, and I didn't know how to answer, because I didn't. I wanted to flip a switch in my brain that said, you're done, but all I felt was this overwhelming grief, not anger, not rage, but loss, like someone died, and maybe, in a way, someone did. The version of her I loved, the one I trusted with my heart, my future, my life, that version didn't exist anymore. And here's where things got even more confusing. After all of that, after confessing to an emotional and physical betrayal that stretched over an entire year, Amanda said she wanted to fix things, said she was willing to go to therapy, to cut all ties with Trevor, to do whatever it took to earn my trust back. She said she'd already told him it was over, that she blocked him on everything and told HR she'd like to transfer departments. She said this wasn't who she wanted to be. And I sat there thinking, what the hell is wrong with me that I'm still listening? I should have walked out the second she admitted what she did, but instead, I stayed, not because I forgave her, not because I understood, but because I was still in love with the idea of her, the memory of her, the version of her that used to fall asleep on my chest and whisper that I was the best thing that ever happened to her. You won't believe how twisted this gets. Later that night, I started getting texts from people, mutual friends, coworkers, saying they'd seen the post and were confused. Some were polite about it, like, hey man, just checking in, but a few came in hot, like, yo, is Amanda seriously dating Trevor now? I didn't respond to any of them. I couldn't even find the words. I felt humiliated, like my entire relationship had been broadcast to the world and now I was the last guy to find out the punchline. What hit the hardest though, was when my buddy Eric, my best friend since high school, showed up at my apartment with 2 coffees and that look on his face like someone just told him my dog died. He said, I've been holding my tongue, man, but I gotta be honest with you, I've had a bad feeling about Trevor for a long time. I blinked at him like he'd just slapped me. You knew something was off? I asked. He nodded. She never flirted or anything, but there was something in the way she talked about him. It was subtle, but it was there. I didn't want to interfere, but looking back, maybe I should have said something. That gutted me, because now it wasn't just me wondering how I missed the signs, it was knowing that other people saw them and didn't say a word. The betrayal suddenly had layers. It wasn't just Amanda, it was the lie that stretched into our entire circle. It was the birthdays, the double dates, the holidays where Trevor was probably sending her, I miss you, texts while she sat across the table from me pretending everything was fine. And even now, as I sit here writing this out, I still don't know what I'm supposed to do. She's texting me again, long paragraphs about therapy appointments and healing and trust building and how much she misses me, and the messed up part. I miss her too. But missing someone doesn't mean you should be with them. That's what I keep trying to tell myself. That's what I keep trying to believe. You'd think after a betrayal like that, the choice would be simple, right? Someone cheats, you walk away, end of story, but life's not that black and white, especially when your heart still thinks it's in love and your mind is screaming to run. That's where I was, stuck in this in-between space where I didn't trust her, didn't even recognize her anymore, but still couldn't imagine waking up in a world where she wasn't part of it. It felt like every part of my body was working against itself, my heart, my gut, my brain, all pulling in different directions, and no matter where I turned, it just hurt. Amanda kept reaching out every day, voice notes, long texts, emails like we were in some romantic drama. She started journaling and sharing the pages with me, as if I could somehow read her heartbreak and forget my own. She was trying, I'll give her that. She didn't just sit back and hope I'd come around, she fought, but sometimes the harder someone tries to patch the hole in the boat, the more you realize just how deep it really goes. About a week after the whole thing blew up, she convinced me to meet her for coffee, public space, neutral ground, no expectations, just two people with too much history and not enough closure. I sat across from her in a booth where we used to split pancakes and laugh about nothing. Now there was just silence between us, broken only by the sound of my spoon stirring a drink I wasn't going to touch. She looked like a wreck, no makeup, hoodie pulled over her head like she was trying to shrink into it, and when she spoke, it wasn't with the confidence of someone who made a choice and regretted it. It was like watching someone completely unravel. She said therapy had made her realize how deeply she'd sabotaged something beautiful. She said the peace and stability we had scared her because it felt unfamiliar. She'd grown up in a home full of shouting matches and slammed doors, so when our love didn't come with conflict, she didn't know how to trust it. You won't believe what she admitted next. She said she'd been planning to tell me, months ago, that she even wrote a letter once and then burned it in her sink. She was going to confess everything, come clean, and try to rebuild, but Trevor found out and threatened to tell me first if she didn't keep things quiet, said he'd post screenshots, even show up at my job if he had to. He'd fallen for her, really fallen, and when she started pulling away, he got desperate. I stared at her like she was speaking a different language. So wait, he blackmailed you into keeping this going? She nodded, tears streaming down her face. Now, part of me wanted to believe this, to take her hand, tell her she was manipulated, tell her she wasn't the monster I'd been painting her as in my head, but another part of me, the one that had been losing sleep and replaying every fake smile and half-lie from the last year, that part wondered if she was just saying whatever she thought would earn her a second chance. I asked to see the messages, the ones where Trevor supposedly threatened her. She hesitated, said she deleted them, said she didn't want that kind of negativity in her life anymore. That was the moment something in me snapped. You saved photos of us from 4 years ago, but you didn't keep the messages from the guy who threatened to ruin your life? I said. She looked down at her lap, silent. That's when I knew, maybe some part of what she said was true. Maybe Trevor really did turn clingy and controlling toward the end, but the rest? It smelled like another carefully crafted half-truth, designed to soften what she'd done. I left the coffee shop without saying goodbye. And that night, she sent one last message. You won't believe what it said. I'm not asking you to forgive me today, or tomorrow. I just want you to remember what we had before all this. I want you to know I did love you, I still do, and if you ever feel like trying again, I'll be here. And that was it, no pressure, no demands, just that lingering sentence at the end, like a trapdoor waiting to be opened. The worst part? I did remember what we had, every night, every morning, every quiet moment in between. I remembered her dancing barefoot in our kitchen. I remembered her calling my mom just to check in. I remembered her squeezing my hand under the table when she knew I was anxious. That love was real. I'll die on that hill. But it wasn't enough. Because what good is love if it comes with betrayal? What good is love if the person holding your heart can just hand it off to someone else the second things get too quiet? I wanted to forgive her. I wanted to erase the last year and go back to who we used to be. But the truth is, she never stopped lying, not even after she got caught. And no matter how much I loved her, I was finally starting to realize maybe love wasn't supposed to hurt this much. It's strange how you can love someone so much and still not recognize them anymore. I used to think I knew every version of Amanda, the laughing, goofy one who danced in the car to 2000s pop, the soft, sleepy one who curled up against me on Sunday mornings, even the stressed out, overwhelmed one who cried when life felt too heavy, but this Amanda. The one I was dealing with now. I didn't know her, and the scariest part. I wasn't sure I ever really did. After I walked out of that coffee shop, I didn't hear from her for 3 days. 3 whole days. It sounds small, but when you've been inseparable with someone for 5 years, someone you text 10 times a day, someone who knows what kind of sandwich you like, what kind of movies make you cry, when your dad's birthday is, 3 days feels like a lifetime. And then, out of nowhere, she called. I didn't pick up the first time, or the second, but the third time, something in me cracked and I answered. Her voice was shaky, not crying, just uncertain. She asked if I could meet her one last time, not to fix things, not to beg, just for closure. You won't believe what she said next. She told me Trevor had shown up at her apartment. She said he was angry, that he found out she told me everything, and that it was over between them. He wanted answers, he wanted her back. She said he even tried to guilt-trip her by reminding her of all the times they'd shared while I was too busy working to notice. She said he made it seem like I was the problem all along. I didn't know what to think anymore. It was like I had stepped into some kind of twisted love triangle that I never signed up for, and suddenly, it wasn't just about betrayal, it was about manipulation, about power plays, about two people using each other as emotional escape hatches while dragging me along for the ride. So, against my better judgment, I agreed to meet her again. But this time, I had a plan. I needed answers, real ones. I wanted to ask the questions I'd been avoiding, the hard, ugly ones. I didn't want her rehearsed apologies or half-baked stories. I wanted the truth, even if it shattered me. We met at this park we used to walk through when we first started dating. Back then, we'd sit on the swings and talk about our future like it was already written. Kids, a house, a dog named something ridiculous like Waffles or Mr. Pickles. Now, the silence between us felt like a canyon. I looked her in the eyes and said, what would have happened if I never found that post? She flinched, like I had slapped her without touching her. I don't know, she whispered. Maybe I would have ended it eventually, maybe I would have told you eventually. That's not good enough, I said. Eventually isn't an answer, eventually means you weren't going to. She started crying again, and I know, I sound cold, but I had nothing left to give her. I was running on fumes. Watching her cry didn't make me want to comfort her anymore, it made me want to scream, because she chose this, she chose him, she chose the thrill of drama over the comfort of real love. And you won't believe what she admitted next. She said she'd started seeing a therapist, not just couples therapy, but real, individual sessions, and apparently, her therapist told her something that stuck with her, something that made her realize how badly she'd messed up. He said I confuse chaos with passion, she told me. He said I grew up in a house where love was always loud, yelling, fighting, dramatic makeups, so now when something is quiet, safe, supportive, I don't know what to do with it. I didn't say anything. She kept going. He said I need to unlearn what love looks like, that what I had with you was real, but I didn't know how to sit still in it. I kept waiting for the fight to start, and when it didn't, I started one on my own. I swear to you, in that moment, I saw the girl I fell in love with again, not the liar, not the cheater, just a broken person who had broken me, too, and all I could think was how preventable all of this had been if she had just talked to me, if she had trusted the quiet instead of craving the storm. But love isn't always enough to undo the damage, especially when the person you love held the match while everything burned. I stood up from that park bench and said something I never thought I'd have the strength to say. I forgive you, I said, but I'm not staying. Her face crumpled, like she expected me to turn back, to take it all back, to fall into her arms and say, let's try again. But I didn't. Because here's the truth no one tells you, forgiveness and reconciliation are not the same thing. You can let go of the hate without letting them back into your life. I had to forgive her, for me, because carrying around all that pain and betrayal was slowly destroying the person I used to be, and if I ever wanted to find myself again, I had to let her go. You won't believe what happened next. I walked away. And for the first time in weeks, I felt free. They don't tell you what it's like after the fallout, after the dramatic speeches and the late-night breakdowns, after the final walk away and the brave face you wear while your insides still feel like they're on fire. What they don't tell you, what no one really prepares you for, is that healing from betrayal feels like grieving someone who's still alive. For weeks, it was like Amanda's shadow haunted every part of my life. I'd go to pour cereal and remember how she used to eat hers dry. Like a psychopath, I'd reach for a hoodie and find one of hers mixed in. I even heard a song she loved on the radio, and I swear to you, I had to pull over and just breathe. There's this weird guilt that comes with still loving someone after they've hurt you, like your brain knows you should be angry, should be done, but your heart is still in some kind of emotional hostage situation, and I hated it. I hated how much space she still took up in my thoughts. I hated how I kept replaying every good moment like it would change the ending. But slowly, something started to shift. I started waking up and not immediately checking my phone to see if she'd messaged me. I started sleeping a little better, eating like a normal person, even laughing again, real laughs, not those hollow ones people force when they're trying to convince others they're doing okay. And then something happened that completely flipped the script. You won't believe this, but one night, about a month after I last saw Amanda, I got a message from Trevor. Yeah, him. The guy she cheated with. At first, I wasn't even going to open it. I mean, what could he possibly say that I'd want to hear? But curiosity won, and what I read absolutely floored me. He said Amanda had ghosted him completely, blocked him on everything. He said he was sorry for his part in it, said he didn't know the full story until it was too late, that he really believed they were something real. He said he felt used, lied to, just like me. He ended the message with this. I thought I won something. Turns out, I was just a placeholder while she figured herself out. I didn't win, I lost the second she walked into your life while still holding on to mine. I didn't reply. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because for the first time, I realized something powerful. This whole time, I had been blaming myself, wondering if I hadn't been passionate enough, dramatic enough, interesting enough to keep her attention, but the truth is, it wasn't about me being boring or too safe. It was about her not knowing how to love someone who didn't hurt her. And I wasn't going to bleed just to make her feel alive anymore. So I kept healing. Day by day. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't some Instagram-ready, self-love, glow-up montage, it was messy. Some nights I still cried, some mornings I still woke up expecting her next to me, but I kept going. Eventually, I started running again, just short jogs at first, with music blasting in my ears so I didn't have to think, then longer ones. One morning I stopped mid-run and realized I'd made it to a spot Amanda and I used to walk. I stood there, sweating, breathing hard, and smiled. Not because I missed her. But because I didn't. That was the moment I knew I was really, finally coming back to myself. You won't believe what happened after that. I bumped into someone new. Not in a rom-com, grocery store bumping carts kind of way, more like, someone from work, a friend of a friend, who made me laugh again without forcing it, someone who asked me how I was doing, and meant it. We started slow, no expectations, just coffee, then walks, then conversations that felt like fresh air instead of walking on glass. I didn't rush it, I didn't project old wounds onto her, I just let it happen. And one day, I told her the story. Everything, about Amanda, the betrayal, the spiral, the healing. And when I finished, she didn't pity me, she didn't tell me I was stupid for staying too long or naive for trusting too much, she just looked me in the eye and said, you didn't deserve that, but I'm glad you didn't let it destroy the part of you that still believes in love. And that's when I realized this whole painful, gut-wrenching, year-long nightmare had taught me something I wouldn't trade for anything. That I'm worth the kind of love that doesn't confuse peace with boredom, that doesn't run the second things feel steady, that doesn't come with ultimatums, lies, or exes lurking in the background. So yeah, 5 years ended in heartbreak. But out of those ashes, I found clarity. I found peace. And most importantly, I found me again.